Parsha 101, Haftarah 101. This week's Parsha is Parshas Pinchas. And usually Pinchas it's one Haftarah, but as without entering the time of the 3 weeks, if Parshas Pinchas falls out after the fast of the 17th of Tammuz, which is commemorating the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem leading up to the destruction of the temples on the 9th of Av, so 3 weeks from now, on the 9th of Av will be, the Haftarah switches to a different Haftarah. And these Haftarahs, there's going to be 3 weeks of Haftarahs, basically of retribution and rebuke, and urging to come back and forgo straying from God, etc. And then actually after the 9th of Av, there's going to be 6 weeks of comfort, of Haftarahs of comfort, etc., until it comes up to Rosh Hashanah, and etc., etc., etc. So what the Haftarah would be if it was Parshas Pinchas, even though it's not going to be the one that's going to be read this week, but what it would be is there's a Haftarah from the book of Kings, and it's actually the story of Elijah, of Eliyahu the prophet, right after the whole story happened with the Baal idol and the showdown with the priests, and you offer your sacrifice and I'll offer my sacrifice, and we'll see whose sacrifice is offered, which is actually from a couple weeks ago. So this happens right afterwards, and the whole thing happened because there was a drought, etc. The Haftarah here starts that the drought ends with this massive rainstorm. And even though this whole showdown had just happened, Elijah is going to escort the king Achav out of respect to the monarchy, etc. He's going to escort him out, make sure he gets home safely in all this rain. When Achav gets home, he tells his wife Jezebel, everything that happened. And Jezebel's like, that's it. Elijah is done for. So Eliyahu goes on the run. And he ends up in the southern kingdom, the kingdom of Judah, of Yehuda, in probably Beersheba, in the desert, the plains down there, etc. And he falls asleep. Then an angel comes and wakes him up, says, you got to eat, you got a journey ahead of you. So all of a sudden there's food there, and he eats, and he has to keep traveling, and he ends up in Horeb, which is probably Mount Sinai. And he's standing there, he goes into a cave, and here's the voice of God comes, and he says, Elijah, what are you doing here? And he says, everybody wants to kill me, they've torn down the altars for you, everyone's forsaken you, and everything's just crazy, and that's it. And kind of implying, like, you got to go and do something about your people. So God is not entirely pleased with this answer. He says, okay, go stand at the mouth of the cave, and God's going to come, etc. That's what he's hearing, this voice is telling him. So he's standing there, and all of a sudden these strong winds come that split mountains and shatter boulders, but the presence of God is not in the winds. And then an earthquake comes, and fire comes, and the presence of God, not the earthquake or in the fire. And all of a sudden then there's a very silent, very thin, quiet voice sounds. And now the presence of God has come. They say, okay, again, Elijah, what are you doing here? And he says, look, I've been zealous for God. And this is kind of where it connects with the Parsha of Pinchas, because Pinchas acted zealously, and that's why he was promoted in rank to Kohen. Even though he came from the Levites, he could have been a Kohen, but Aaron and his sons became Kohanim after he was already born. It was like, okay, now you and your descendants are all going to be Kohanim. But Pinchas had already been born, so it wasn't bestowed upon him. But acting zealously as he did for God and stopping the plague, etc., you too will be a Kohen. So it's kind of comparing the zealousness. Also, it said that Elijah had the soul of Pinchas. So this is the connection. That's why it would be Haftarah from Pinchas. And basically, so God asks again, Elijah, what are you doing here? He says, I've been zealous for you. And the people, they've turned away from you. They turned on your altars, and now they want to kill me, etc. And commentaries say God is not exactly excited with this answer. He didn't want Elijah to be implying, like, go and punish the people. But anyways, the regular text here says, okay, you got to go now. You got to go to Damascus, basically, and crown Chazal to be king over Aram. He's gonna punish those who need to be punished by attacking, etc. Then you got to anoint someone named Yehu. He's going to be the new king of Israel after Achav. And then you're going to go to Elisha, and he is going to be the prophet after you. You got to go anoint him to say he's going to be your prophet. So Elijah goes, and he goes to Elisha, and he casts his mantle over him, and Elisha he's driving like 12 yoke of oxen. He's kind of busy in the moment. But he knows what's going on. He says, okay, Elijah, I'm going to come with you. I got to go say bye to my parents. Elisha says, no, what are you going to follow me for, etc. And Elisha kind of realizes, and he's like, no, I'm not your student, basically. And then there's this whole feast with the oxen, and he goes and he follows after Elisha to become his his student, his disciple, his servant to him, etc. So that's the Haftarah of Pinchas that will not be read. The one that will be read is from the book of Jeremiah. And the general idea of this is Jeremiah lived during the last 3 kings of the tribe of Judah, not just the tribe of Judah, the kingdom of Judah. The northern kingdom had already been exiled. Those are the 10 lost tribes. We don't know where they are. And the southern kingdom, they were not exiled till much later. The Beis Hamikdash wasn't destroyed until later on when Babylonians came down, etc. So Jeremiah prophesied during the last 3 kings, kind of. So you have Yoshio, and then Yoakim, and then Tzidkiyahu. And he's got to rebuke the people and tell them, you better turn around because there's bad stuff coming. And this is kind of the beginning of Jeremiah. This is the beginning of Yirmiyahu, where on the one side, he comes from also a lineage of Kohanim, but on the other side, his grandmother, great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother, was Rachav, who, if you remember from the story of Joshua sending the spies, etc., which also just recently we had this Haftarah, Rachav, she's called a prostitute, and she probably was a prostitute, and then she totally turned her life around. She ends up marrying Joshua, and so he's descended from there. So first of all, it's a first lesson that a person can definitely turn around and turn their life over. And here, Yirmiyahu was talking about how he's supposed to be giving this prophecy, and he's like, oh, I'm so young, God wants me to come and rebuke the people, like, who am I to be doing this? How can I do this? And God tells him, I knew you even before you were born. I knew you. I know exactly who you are. And saying, like, this is what you've been destined to be. You have been born to this role. Which, another lesson of there. God knows exactly who we are. God knows exactly what we've been born to be. He knows us. He's giving us our paths. Because he created us and he knows what we're supposed to be. And he gives him the whole prophecy to go and rebuke the people, etc. And some harsh rebuke coming. And then he says, okay, what do you see? Jeremiah, what do you see? And he says, I see this branch of an almond tree. And God says, yes, because like an almond tree, that from when it buds to when it starts ripening, when it starts giving almonds, it's very quick, and it's 21 days. Just like this, my word is going to come quickly, and this whole destruction is going to happen quickly, and it is. From the 17th of Tammuz to the 9th of Av it's about 3 weeks. It's about 21 days from the walls are breached to the destruction. And he says, what else do you see? I see a bubbling pot that the foam is coming from the north. And he says, yes, the Babylonians are going to be sweeping in through the north to be destroying and the Beis Hamikdash and to be exiling the people, etc. And more descriptions here, some of the not great stuff that's going to be going on, but it does end with God remembering, I remember when you were my people and you followed me out of Egypt and you eagerly took upon yourself to be my bride, to take my Torah and become my people. And so the Haftarah ends still with this note of hope that Israel is a holy nation unto God, and anybody who exacts evil upon them, God will kind of avenge them. Those are the Haftarahs of this week.